So this year, I am starting to do history with my kids, and we are doing a 4-year rotation through ancients, medieval, early modern, and modern time, kind of the classical cycle of history that you see around. And this year, we are jumping into ancients, and I have some fun resources, two sets in particular, two books of each set that I wanted to share with you. I've shown you these in various haul videos or mentioned them in regards to different curriculum. But today I thought I would take you along and let you know a little bit more about them and let you see insides so you can get an idea of what they actually look like. Hey guys, welcome. Thanks for joining me. So, we are doing ancient history this year. So, we are just a couple weeks in, and I have a couple of the resources that I have purchased for this year, and I thought I would share them with you because they're ones that I don't see around as often. They're not ones that I see shown a lot, but I think they're pretty cool, both of them. One is a neutral, I think, faith neutral, as far as I'm aware. I haven't looked in detail inside, so there could be some of one or the other. And one is definitely a Christian resource. So, of the two sets, just bear that in mind. But what I want to do is I want to show you these. I want to give you a bit of an idea of what they are, and then I want to show you inside. So if you are not aware, this year I actually made my own teacher's manual for ancient history. I'm using various resources from various places, and I've made my own manual to pull it all together and show me all the options I have. If you're interested in seeing inside that, I will link a video to it because that's a totally different one. But these are a couple of resources that I have on the side for them. Okay, so without more fuss, the first set is these magnified books. I don't know if you've seen this. So I had Egypt magnified and Romans magnified. Now there are two or three other books in this series. There's definitely a Pirates magnified. There is an Ancient World magnified, which is out of print, and I can't find it anywhere except used for ridiculous amounts of money. So I was like, never mind, we'll just do these two. And I'm not sure. I think there might be castles or knights or something along those ideas. But the idea is it's a book with a whole bunch of little teeny pictures, and inside, if you open this flap, so you can see this on camera, there is a little magnifying glass that kids then get to pull out and find the information in here in the little pictures. So there's a little list in each page of things to find with a little bit of information about each one. So these seem, since Egypt and Rome are two huge civilizations in ancient history that we are going to be spending more than 1 week of time on, I thought these would be really fun and cool resources for my kids to be able to play with. So I'm going to show you inside of these, and then when I'm done with that, we will come back and I will show you the next set of books that I'm using. All right, guys, I'm going to show you inside the Romans magnified first, and then I will show you a little bit inside this. I'm not going to necessarily go through the whole thing or in detail, but I do want to give you a good idea of what this is inside. So you open it up, and inside there's a little, whoops, I should leave this sticky on there so I don't lose that. Sorry, as I'm fumbling over here trying not to hit my stand with my camera on there, but there's this little magnifying glass inside, and I haven't showed my kids this, but it actually works all right. But this is what's inside. All right, and then there's just some various spreads. So you've got what was the Roman Empire, and then you have these little icons to look for that talk about it. So this one here, and you can see, you can zoom it in so we can see what it is, right? And I'll read this to my kids, but they can look for that little Roman icon. So they can look through and kind of find where it is. They get just a big hunt, and they can see all these little things in here. They have so many little details. But then it just talks about different parts of the Roman Empire. And then it goes into details. So we have the emperor and the Senate. Let me pull this aside. We have the Roman army. We have the Roman navy. So 10 things to spot, right? Sails are one of them, right? So they can go in here and try to, here's a pair of sails, right? Here's a pair of sails. We have Triarchus, a doctor, rostrum, various things, and just a sentence or two max about them. The prisoners, so we could see if we can, try and find some prisoners somewhere. Oh, they're down here, and so it just is a little bit of information. It's fun. It's like a big treasure hunt for kids. At least I feel that way. And so they can trade turns with that magnifying glass. They can look for these things, or they can just look for whatever they want. We could talk about it. We could find them in our world history encyclopedias if we want any little details that there are. So this is kind of what that looks like. It's simple, and there's not a ton. It's got a paragraph or so of information along with what's here, along the 10 things to spot. But there's I feel like it touches all the big topics. And then in the back, it has this gallery of famous Romans, just giving a sentence or two, when they were born, when they lived, kind of what they did, what their role was, and then some other things that are, can you find them? So you look at these and you go, do you remember which scene these were in, and try to go find them in the previous page. So just some additional things to hunt for. And then here's your answer key of where everything was that you were supposed to spot in those additional pages. So if you as mom have a kid who's like super fed up with not being able to find something and they can't, you could cheat and come back here and help them out. And then we have a timeline of the Roman Empire, which I appreciate, and a glossary back here. So pretty simple, but I don't know, just so much fun. And then Egypt magnified is really essentially the same thing, but with Egypt, you have your magnifying glass. This one I got used, and so I put some tape in it because it wasn't quite is in good condition. But you call your contents, the Nile, family welding, and these are again the things you're looking for. 10 things to spot. Growing crops, Pharaoh, the pyramids. I'm skipping a few. Tutkanham. I probably said that wrong. Work. Oh, I'm going to have to learn how to pronounce these before I read to my kids. Death and Mummies, Tomb Raiders, Cleopatra, The Riddle of the Sphinx. So just some fun things. And then we have this little like hieroglyphics page in the center. Teach your kids the letters and hieroglyphics, which honestly, my older daughter will probably then try to go do hieroglyphics, which, hey, who cares? I guess that's at the end. And then these other things, again, like the Roman ones that has these things you can spot in the previous pages, aside from what you already found. Your answer key, and then again, a timeline and a glossary in the back. So if I am not much mistaken, my kids are going to adore these. I would have loved to get the ancient world magnified, which wasn't on one country. It had a spread on all the various countries in the ancient world. So China, India, Rome, Greece, Egypt, some of the North and South Americas, Incas or whatever. So I would have loved to have that. But for the price I could find it used, it just didn't seem worth it. So if I find it for an affordable price, I might still pick it up. But I have these, and I think my kids are going to thoroughly enjoy these when I actually show them. Okay, so that set of books is just too much fun. And I think it's going to be perfect for the age levels of my kid. I'm going to have a kindergartner and a first grader. I think that's going to be like right up their alley, like perfect for young children. This next set that I'm showing you, I think is super cool, and I'm going to be using it. I'm not 100% sure how useful it will be for my children at this age. We're going to pull it in and see, but if not, we will definitely be pulling it in our next rotation of history when we hit ancients again. And this can be used for actually more than just ancients because it goes through to modern. One of them at least does. But the next set is these God's Timeline book. So this is God's Timeline, the big book of church history, and this goes from early church all the way to modern church. This can be used through all 4 cycles of history as my children are ready for it. And then the other one is God's Bible Timeline, the big book of biblical history, and this one goes through the early church. So probably medieval a little bit, I would say, is where this is going to end up. So these two. I think these are cool, and I saw these. So I did see these online, and I'm pretty sure I saw them over at Deeply Rooted Home, who have really enjoyed watching her videos. So I will link her below. You should check her channel out. She has some great resources if you like this kind of thing. But I saw one of these on her channel. She said she's one of them. I don't remember which. And then I went and looked, and I saw both of them, and I just thought, man, I have a good idea of Bible history timeline, some of it in my mind, but some things kind of just get mixed up. And having that visual and then having the dates in here as well for the Church of Bible Time to be able to cross-reference with our ancient history dates and kind of, oh, this was going at the same time. I can do some of that, but having a resource that's engaging and does that for me, like, take the work off my shoulders, right? So this is the other set of books that we're going to be trying, and I'm going to turn around and give you an idea what these look like inside as well. Okay, so then this is the second set, and I'll show you into just one at a time. But we have the big book of biblical history first, and we have your creation to the promised land as your green, purple is living in the promised land, from 1 kingdom to 2, exile and return, the Messiah, and the early church. And it is color-coded inside to match those. So we have our table, contents, a little bit of an introduction, and then we have creation to the promised land. And each section has a little bit of an introduction, just some talking about this time, and then it has your timeline. And I like these. I like that there's some actual images in here, but I also just kind of like the graphics, just the simplicity of it. So in the beginning, it's going to be all Bible references, right? We don't have a date for these, but we go through. So our green, and then there's generally some information about a character or a map or some facts about the tabernacle. Quite a few of these. And then we go into the next one, living in the promised land, some information, talking about Levitical cities, cities of refuge. And then we go into here. And here's where I kind of where this is like getting me excited because I kind of know it in terms of my Bible, but in terms of dates, like when we have a date, they actually like stick it in 1200 BC, right? Like, oh, that's cool. I can like compare roughly where things are in relation. Okay. Some information again about the time. Then we go from one kingdom to two. Again, Solomon's temple. Some information here. And again, we're still not doing all dates, but when they have a date, I like that they do put it in. So here we're getting a little bit more of dates, timeline. This is exile. So Judah remains. And this, again, we're going to put in some other people, right? We're not just doing, this is Bible history, but while we're talking about Nebuchadnezzar and Joachim, King of Judah, we're also talking about the Pharaoh of Egypt that lived at this time. And we're also putting in, where's the other one? King Shalmaneser of Assyria, right? So I'm getting some world history, just kind of bits and pieces to compare in here as well, which I just love. And then we go into, I think this is the exile or the Messiah. So timeline again. And now we do have a lot more dates in here that are more cemented. I know the CE.2b. I'm not sure what CE stands for. Actually, if somebody knows, I can look it up, but you should tell me because I'd actually be interested. But then we have some more information in here, Jesus time, and then the early church, which leaves off perfectly because this goes to the early church, right? And then this one starts with the early church. So this is kind of, I guess you could even call this like a prequel timeline to that. So this would be more ancients and then starting to move into like the Renaissance Reformation time or medieval times. And then this picks up with that early church period and goes all the way to the modern church. So I feel like this is a great set to have together because they really just kind of go together. So again, this is color coded. We have our table of contents, a little bit of an introduction, beginning at the beginning, so some information. And I just, to totally preface, I have not read all these inserts in here in between the timelines in this one or in this one. So I cannot 100% vouch for like if I agree with the way they interpret certain things or their take on certain things. I assume I will agree with most of it, but if there's something slightly off, I just want to put that as a preface. I haven't read through all of this. So this is not my stamp of approval on everything in here. I just really appreciate having the timelines. And again, we have kind of the same style of timeline. Map of Paul's journey. We have some images. I do like just the combination of images and of just symbols or simple art. And again, we have dates in this one because we actually have dates, right? So we're still in the early church, talking about councils and creeds, Old Testament, New Testament, what is canon. So some little bit of information. Again, I haven't read all this, so we're doing in the early Middle Ages. Kind of jump ahead, reforming the church, how it all began. And I just think this is a great little side piece to have along with history, showing not just the history of the world, but the history of the church as we go through the world and kind of how it's shaped and formed with what was happening in the world. They're not completely like separate. Important people in the modern church. So we are in modern church now. And then at the end of this one, I don't know if the other one, I need to look. We have a bibliography. We have an image index. There's this like, you probably can't even see that. It just went off the screen. This like complete or more complete timeline. This one is the, I think, events timeline. And this one is heroes and villains if you pull it out or flip it over and see this time. So it's got just kind of a overall of some of the heroes and villains of the church. Let me glance into this one in the very back and see if it does the same thing without. I think it does. Yeah. So again, heroes and villains of the Bible, and then like an overall. So if you want like a little timeline, you could pull this out and post it up there if you wanted something to reference. I don't know that I will pull it out, but I kind of like having it anyway. So, like I said, I'm not sure if those are quite the age level of my kids. We'll pull out and see, but I don't know how well at this point they retain timelines in their mind. My older daughter might be able to. I don't think my younger one will. We'll see. If not, like I said, we'll pull them out as we go through our future years or the next rotation through. I'm not worried about it, and I will be using this for me just as a resource to get a better picture of how things lined up with ancient history because I feel like, okay, let's be real. We learn as much as our kids do when we go through this. Like, I am excited about doing ancient history because I feel like my grasp on ancient history is not strong. Actually, of all the subjects, I think history is one that I know bits and pieces of, but like the whole cohesive line of it, that is not where I'm strong. And so I'm really enjoying going through it this year. And to be able to pull in Bible and church history with that for myself, um, is awesome. In fact, I got myself a book of centuries. My kids are too young to do one, but for myself to start, as we're doing ancient history, a friend recommended this. I was like, I totally should do that. So I'm going to be putting in these names and making my own book of centuries along just for my own record, for my own mind, because why should I not be learning with them? Like, this is a great opportunity. But this is not about me learning. This is about resources I'm showing with you for your kids. So yeah, I hope that's fine. If you have a fun ancient history resource, especially one that's like less commonly known, I would love to know it. So please share below, share with all of us, but me in particular. We're doing ancients this year. I am not above picking up a few more resources. Not that I don't have enough. I mean, all these back here are like world world encyclopedias and all that, but cool things that just really make it come alive. I feel like, and tie things together and make it fun. Like, I don't know, those are somewhat priceless. Well, I have to be careful. I can spend too much money, but please share with me. I would love to hear them. And any questions you have on either of these, I would also love to know those. So yeah, comment below and let me know. And as always, I hope you guys are having a wonderful week.